Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing good. So in last class we were discussing about classification of companies. First of all, let us make a quick revision what we have discussed in the last class and then we are going to move ahead. So I told you classification of companies can be on the basis of incorporation, it can be on the basis of control, it can be on the basis of nationality of the companies. Classification of companies can be on the basis of ownership. It can be on the basis of number of members. So first of all, let's take a quick revision what I've taught you on classification of companies on the basis of mode of incorporation. On the basis of mode of incorporation, a company can be classified into three types. That is chartered company, statutory company, and registered company. What is a chartered company? I told you, chartered company is a company that is created by a royal charter. This means they are granted power or right by the monarch or by some special order of king or queen. For example, East India Company, BBC, Bank of England, etc. What is a statutory company? I told you, statutory company is a company that is incorporated by means of special act passed by central or state legislature. These companies are generally formed to meet the social needs and not for the purpose of earning profits. Example, RBI, LIC, etc. Registered company, all the other companies which are incorporated under the Companies Act passed by the government comes under this head. All other companies which are incorporated under the Companies Act passed by the government comes under this head. These companies come under existence only after they registered themselves under the act and the certificate of incorporation is passed by the registrar of company. I told you, bete, a company will come into formation only when certificate of incorporation, sorry, is passed by the registrar of company. So to start a company, you should obtain certificate of incorporation. On the basis of liability, companies limited by shares. The liability of the shareholders is limited to the extent of the face value of shares held by them. Most private limited companies are of this type. I told you, company in which the liability of shareholders is limited up to the amount of unpaid amount of share is known as company limited by share. Company limited by guarantee. In these companies, in case of liquidation, the shareholder promised to pay a certain fixed amount to cover the liabilities of the company. Now, in case of winding up of the company, the guarantee which is given by shareholder, they have to pay the amount of the guarantee to cover the liability of the company. Unlimited company, there is no in unlimited company there is no limit on the liability of the shareholders. In case of liquidation, they might have to pay even from their personal assets to cover the liabilities of the company. So in unlimited company, liability of shareholders is unlimited. At the time of liquidation, they might have to pay even from their personal assets to cover the liabilities of the company. One person company, I told you. One person is a type of company in which only there is one shareholder, or you can say in which there is only one owner. It is similar to sole proprietorship, but the liability of the owner is limited. His personal asset will not be attached if there is any loss. Such loss will be recovered only by the company, not by the shareholder. In one person company, a shareholder will also appoint one nominee. In one person company, there should be minimum one director. That one director can be the same owner as well. Public company. In public company, a minimum of 7 members is needed to form a public limited company. But there is no maximum limit on this. It means there can be n number of members in public limited company. But minimum member required for the formation of public limited company is 7 members. The company collects its capital by sale of its shares to the shareholder. Company collect the capital in this? The company collect the capital by selling the shares. The shareholders of a company do not have the right to participate in day-to-day management. Obviously, there are lakhs of shareholders. Is it possible for all the lakhs of shareholders to participate in the company? How the company will run then? So for that purpose, the shareholders will appoint the director. The director will take all the major decisions of the company. What is private company? Private limited companies have more than two directors, but less than 200 members. In a private limited company, there should be more than two directors, but less than 200 members. Their liability is limited or unlimited depending on the type of company it is. Unlike public limited company, here the transfer of share is limited to its member, and the general public cannot subscribe to its share and debentures. Holding company. A company is known as the holding company of another company if it has control over the another company. It means if one company purchases more than 50% share of another company, then the company purchasing the share will be known as holding company. A company qualifies as a holding company when it has the power to control the composition of the board of directors of another company or hold some majority of its share. A company is deemed to be the holding company of another company if, but only if that it is its subsidiary. Subsidiary company. Subsidiary company is known as a subsidiary of another company when its control is exercised by the latter over the former is called a subsidiary company. It is a company whose parent is a majority shareholder that is more than 50%. For the purpose of liability, taxation, and regulation, subsidiaries are distinct legal entities. Government company, I told you. A company in which more than 50% paid up share capital is held by either central government or by a state government or by central and state government jointly, then such company will be known as government company. Non-government company. All the other companies except the government companies are called as non-government companies. They do not satisfy the characteristic of a government company as given below. Indian company. These companies are registered in India under the Companies Act 1956 and have their registered office in India. It means any company, foreign company. It means any company incorporated outside India which has established place of business in India. So Indian company is that company which is registered under the Companies Act 1956 and have their registered office in India. Whereas foreign company means any company which is incorporated outside India which has an established place of business in India. So Bachu, this was the classification of companies which we have discussed in the last class. Now let us move ahead. I'm sharing another PPT with you. Formation of company. Bachu, for formation of company, first of all, the first person for the formation of company is promoter. Promoter is the person who comes up with the idea to form a company. Suppose me and my friend Rahul, we want to start a mobile manufacturing company. So me and my friend Rahul, we will be known as promoters. Promoters are the person who comes with the idea to form a company. Promoters are the person who are the first person who has established the company. Promoters are the person who forms a company. So what are the duty of promoter? Promoter's duty is to contain necessary particulars under the prospectus, does not contain any untrue or misleading statement. It is a duty of promoter that it does not contain any untrue or misleading statement in the prospectus. If promoter fails to promote his part, if the promoter, the person who formed the company, failed to perform his part, then he may be sued for damages, he may be sued for compensation for misrepresentation, he may become liable to criminal proceedings. What is preliminary activities? बच्चों preliminary activities is the activities which is done before the establishment of company. Before the establishment of company, before the formation of company, we have to do many things. Like we have to register the company, we have to pay the fees for registration, we have to decide the name, we have to submit all the documents to the registrar. So all these activities involve some money. So these all activities is known as preliminary activities, which is before the formation of company. Example, decide the name of the company. Obviously, when you want to get your company registered, you should decide, you have to decide the name of the company. Only after that the company can get registered. License under Industry Development and Regulation Act 1951. Documents required for registration. What are the documents that is required for registration of a company? Number one, memorandum of association. Number two, article of association, prospectus, list of directors, written consent of directors. Incorporation of a company. Certificate of incorporation is a legal document which is issued by the registrar of company upon the submission of required documents, which is an evidence that company is in life. Registrar issues a company identification number to each registered. So certificate of incorporation is a legal document which is issued by the registrar of company upon the submission of required documents, which is an evidence that company is in life. So बच्चों, in the eye of law, in the eye of law, when your company will be formed, when you get a certificate of incorporation, and certificate of incorporation will be obtained when you submit all the documents to the registrar of company and also upon the payment of required fees. So certificate of incorporation will be issued by then registrar of company, which is an evidence that company is in life. Registrar issues a certificate identification number to each registered company. Like we human beings have PIN number. In the same way, companies have SIN number, certificate identification number. Capital subscription. Minimum subscription refers to the minimum amount which a company should raise at the time of issuing capital. So at the time of issuing capital, at the time of issuing share capital, a company should raise minimum amount, minimum subscription that is required by law. The requirement for minimum subscription apply to all companies which raise fund from the public. So any company which is raising the fund from public have to fulfill the minimum subscription requirement. The company may successfully procure the amount of minimum subscription. In such circumstances, company is allowed to retain the capital which has been collected from the investors. Alternatively, the company may not be able to obtain the minimum subscription successfully. Hence, according to the Companies Act, there is an inadequacy in the minimum subscription. In such case, the company would refund the application deposit. The provisions relating to minimum subscription are available in Section 39 of the Companies Act. So, बच्चों, there is some minimum subscription requirement which is to be fulfilled by every company which is raising fund from the public. And if the minimum subscription requirement is not fulfilled, then the company have to refund all the amount, all the application amount which is received by the company. Commencement of business. A private company can commence business immediately after obtaining certificate of incorporation, but a public company can commence a business after obtaining certificate of commencement of business. So a private company only require one certificate. That is certificate of incorporation to start the business. But public company require two certificates: certificate of incorporation and certificate of commencement of business to start the business. Memorandum of Association. Section 2, subsection 28 of the Companies Act. Memorandum means the memorandum of association as originally framed or as altered from time to time in pursuance of any previous Companies Act. Clauses: name clause, situation clause, object clause, capital clause, liability clause, association clause. Alteration of memorandum: change of name, change of registered office, alteration of objects, change in liability clause, change in capital clause. Article of association. Contents of article of association. What are the contents of articles of association? Share capital, right of shareholders, variation of these rights, payment of commission, share certificates, lien of shares, call on shares, transfer of shares, transmission of shares, forfeiture of shares. Forfeiture means when any shareholder do not pay the call money demanded by the company, when any shareholder do not pay the call money demanded by the company, then the company can forfeit, means take back the shares of the company from the shareholder and can reissue that share. Conversion of share into stock, share warrant, alteration of capital, general meeting and proceedings, voting rights of members, directors for their appointments, remuneration, qualifications, power and proceedings, managers, secretaries, dividends and reserves, account, audit and borrowing power, capitalization of profit, funding. Alteration of article. What is the procedure of alteration of article? A company may, by passing a special resolution, alter its article of association anytime. A copy of every special resolution altering the article shall be filled to the registrar within 30 days. So, बच्चों, a company can alter its article of association anytime by passing a special resolution. A copy of every special resolution altering the article shall be filed to the registrar within 30 days. Limitation to alteration: must not be inconsistent with the Act, must not conflict with the memorandum, must not sanction anything illegal, must be for the benefit of the company, must not increase liabilities of the members, alteration by special resolution only, approval of central government when a public company is converted into private. So these were some MCQs which we have discussed in the last class. Now I'm telling you the answers. All those who have attempted these MCQs, please rectify your answers. Please check your answers. Since An artificial person is not capable of doing anything illegal or fraudulent. The facet of corporate personality might have to be removed to identify the persons who are really guilty. This is known as MOA, AOA, lifting of corporate will, none. Answer is C, lifting of corporate will. Companies created by royal charter. This means they are granted power or the right by monarch or by special order of king or queen. Registered company, statutory company, chartered company, none of the above. The answer is chartered company. All the other companies which are incorporated under the Companies Act passed by the government. Registered company, statutory company, chartered company, none of the above. Registered company. Companies incorporated by means of special act passed by the central or state legislature. Registered company, statutory company, chartered company, none of the above. The answer is statutory company. Liability of the shareholders is limited to the extent of the face value of shares held by them. A. Company limited by guarantee. B. Unlimited company. C. Company limited by shares. D. None. Answer is C. Company limited by shares. In these companies, in case of liquidation, the shareholder promised to pay a fixed amount to recover the liability of the company. Company limited by guarantee, unlimited company, company limited by share, none. Answer is company limited by guarantee. There is no liability, there is no limit on the liability of the shareholder in case of liquidation. They might have to pay even from their personal assets to recover the liability of the company. A. Company limited by guarantee. B. Unlimited company. C. Company limited by share. D. None. Answer is B. Unlimited companies. A minimum 7% is needed to form a private company, public company, one person company, or none. Answer is public company. Dash have more than 2% less than 200 members. Private company, public company, one person company, none. Answer is private company. Chaliye. Now let us move ahead. I am sharing another PPT with you now. Now, what is doctrine of constructive notice? The memorandum of association and article of association of every company needs to register with the registrar of company. बच्चों MOA and AOA of every company have to be registered with the registrar of company. After registering the document with the registrar of company, it becomes public document. Once your documents are registered with the registrar of company, they will become the public document. So it is necessary for every company, so it is necessary for every person dealing with a company to inspect and understand the MOA and AOA. Every person who is dealing with the company can understand, can check the memorandum of association and article of association of the company because they have become public document now. Even if person does not read the public document of company, it is assumed that he has read the public document of the company, so that the person cannot blame the company afterwards. It is assumed that MOA and AOA, Memorandum of Association, Article of Association, is now become a public document. So it is assumed that any person who is dealing with the company has read these documents. If he has not read these documents, it will be assumed that he has read the documents. Doctrine of indoor management. Doctrine of indoor management is an exception to the earlier doctrine of constructive notice. It is important to note that the doctrine of constructive notice does not allow outsiders to have notice of the internal affairs of the company. Hence, if any act is authorized by memorandum of article or association, then the outsider can assume that all the details, formalities are observed in doing the act. So बच्चों, it is important to note that doctrine of constructive notice does not allow outsider to have notice of the internal affairs of the company. If an act is authorized by MOA or AOA, Memorandum of Association or Article of Association, then the outsider can assume that all the detailed formalities are observed in doing the act. This is the doctrine of indoor management or Turquoise rule. This is based on the landscape case between the Royal British Bank and Turquoise. Doctrine of ultra virus. The term ultra virus means a company doing any act which is beyond the legal power and authority of the company. The term ultra virus a company means the doing of act which is beyond the power and authority of the company. For example, a company has the power to issue share of 1 lakh, but the company has issued share of rupees 2 lakh. So this act will be known as ultra virus because this is an act which is done beyond the legal power and authority of the company. Investor in the company, the purpose of this restriction is to protect investor in the company so that they may know the object in which their money is to be employed. Creditors by ensuring that the company's fund are not wasted in unauthorized activities. Exception of doctrine of ultra vires. If any act is ultra vires the director of the company, but it intra vires the company may rectify it. बच्चों suppose any act is done by the director which is beyond the power of director, but that act is under the power of company, then the company can rectify it. If any act is ultra vires the articles of a company, the articles may be altered to include the act within the powers of the company. If an act is ultra vires the articles of a company, the articles may be altered to include the act within the powers of the company. If an act is intra vires a company but is irregularly done, the shareholders may rectify it. If an act is intra vires, that is within the power of a company, and is irregularly done, then shareholder may rectify it. If a person borrow money from a company under a contract, which is ultra vires the company may sue him for the recovery of the money. If a person borrow money from a company under a contract which is ultra vires the company may sue him for the recovery of the money. If if a company has purchased some property from a third party under an ultra vires contract, ultra vires contract means contract beyond the power and authority of company, and has taken an ultra vires loan, ultra vires loan, the the third party has the right to follow his property or money if it exists in space. He may also obtain an injunction from the court restraining the company from parting with that property or money. But he must act before the identity of the property is lost or the money is spent. If a company takes an ultra vires loan and uses it to pay off intra vires debts, the lender who has lent money under the ultra vires contract is substituted in place of the creditor who has paid off, and as such he can recover the money. If a company has taken an ultra vires loan through some misrepresentation of the fact of the directors, the lender has a right to make the director personally liable on the ground of breach of implied warranty of authority. So, if a company has taken a loan through some misrepresentation by director, then the lender has a right that he can make the director personally liable because the director has misrepresented. If a director of a company make ultra bias the company can compel him to refund the amount. The director, however, has the right to be indemnified by the person receiving the money, providing he knew of the transaction to be ultra bias the company. What is prospectus? But your prospectus can be defined under section 2 subsection 7. Prospectus can be defined as a document which is prescribed or issued as a prospectus. This also includes any notice, circular, advertisement, or any document acting as an invitation to offer from the public, such as invitation to offer should be for the purchase of any security of a body corporate. So, बच्चों, whenever a company issues share, they issue the prospectus. By reading the prospectus, the person who wants to purchase the share, the investor can get the knowledge about the company shares. The investor can get to know that how much share he can purchase, what will be the amount of share, and how much money he has to pay. So it is an offer made by the company to the public to subscribe for the share of the company. It is an invitation to offer that a company gives to the public to subscribe for the share of the company. For any document to considered as a prospectus, it should satisfy the following conditions. The document should invite the subscription to public shares or debentures, or it should invite deposits. I told you the document should invite the subscription from the public, whether subscription for public or debentures. Such an invitation should be made to the public. A prospectus should be an invitation to offer which is made to the public. The invitation should be made by the company or on behalf of the company. The invitation can be made directly by the company or any other person on behalf of the company. Such persons are underwriters. Invitation should relate to shares, debentures, or such other instruments. Statement in lieu of prospectus. Statement in lieu of prospectus means statement in place of prospectus. A company can issue a statement in place of prospectus. A company can either issue a prospectus or in place of prospectus, a company can issue a statement in lieu of prospectus. A company can either issue a prospectus or in place of prospectus, the company can issue a statement in lieu of prospectus. Every public company either issues a prospectus or file a statement in lieu of prospectus. This is not mandatory for a private company. But when a private company converts from private to public company, it must have to either file a prospectus if earlier issued or it has to file a statement in lieu of prospectus. The provisions regarding the statement in lieu of prospectus has been stated under section 70 of the Companies Act 2013. Now, types of prospectus. Shelf prospectus. Shelf prospectus can be defined as a prospectus that has been issued by any public financial institution, company, or bank for one or more issues of security or class of securities mentioned in the prospectus. So, also shelf prospectus is a type of prospectus that can be issued by any public company. If the company is issuing more than one type of security or more than one class of securities, all the types of security and class of securities are mentioned in the prospectus. When a shelf prospectus is issued, then the issuer does not need to issue a separate prospectus for each offering. He can offer or sell security without issuing any further prospectus. So when a shelf prospectus is issued, that shelf prospectus contains all the class or all the type of security. A company do not need to issue new prospectus for different securities. Got my point? Red herring prospectus. Red herring prospectus is a prospectus which lacks the complete particular about the quantum of the price of the security. The company may issue a red herring prospectus prior to the issue of prospectus when it is proposing to make an offer of security. So, बच्चों, red herring prospectus is a prospectus which lack the particular about the quantum of the price of the security. In red herring prospectus, the company will tell you about the securities, but company do not disclose the price of securities. A company may issue red herring prospectus prior to the issue of prospectus when it is proposing to make an offer of securities. Abridged prospectus. Abridged prospectus is a summary of a prospectus filed before the registrar. It contains all the features of prospectus. An abridged prospectus contains all the information of the prospectus in brief, so that it should be convenient and quick for the investor to know all the useful information in short. बच्चों, our average prospectus is a summary of prospectus that is filed before the registrar. It contains all the features of prospectus. Investor can gain the knowledge conveniently and quickly whether he should invest in the company or deemed prospectus. When any company to offer securities for sale to the public allots or agrees to allot security, the document will be considered as a deemed prospectus through which the offer is made to the public for sale. The document is deemed to be a prospectus of a company for all purposes and all the provision of content of the liability of the prospectus which will be applied upon it. Golden rule of framing prospectus. The golden rule of framing prospectus has a meaning and moral net which says whatever information come from the company to public through the medium of prospectus must be true, fair and accurate. So golden rule of framing the prospectus is that whatever information coming to the public from the company through the medium of prospectus must be true, fair and accurate. So बच्चों, today we have discussed what is prospectus. We have discussed doctrine of constructive notice, doctrine of indoor management, doctrine of ultrawires, prospectus, statement in lieu of prospectus, shelf prospectus, red herring prospectus, abridged prospectus and deep prospectus. Now, let us try to attempt some MCQs so that we can get a clarity on the topic, as well as our whole topic will get revised if we will do the MCQs. Let us start. A company is known as dash of another company when it is when its control is exercised by the latter over the former. A, holding company, B, subsidiary company, C, government company, and D, non-government company. Answer is subsidiary company. A company is known as the dash company of another company if it has control over the other company. A, holding company, B, subsidiary company, C, government company, D, non-government company. A company of which not less than 51% of the paid up capital is held by the central government or by state government or by government singly or jointly is known as A, holding company, B, subsidiary company, C, government company, D, non-government company. These companies are registered in India under the Companies Act 1956 and have their registered office in India. A. Holding company. B. Subsidiary company. C. Government company. D. Indian company. Now next. It means any company incorporated outside India which has an established place of business in India. A. Holding company. B. Subsidiary company. C. Foreign company. D. Indian company. Next, if the promoter fails to perform his part, he may be sued for damages, he may be sued for compensation for misrepresentation, he may become liable to criminal proceedings, all of the above. Documents required for registration: A. Article of Association, B. Prospectus, C. List of directors, D. All of the above. The term dash means that doing of the act is beyond the legal power and authority of the company. A. Doctrine of constructive notice. B. Doctrine of indoor management. C. Doctrine of ultra wires. D. None. Dash can be defined as a prospectus that has been issued by any public financial institution, company, or bank for one or more issue of securities or class of securities as mentioned in the prospectus. A. Shelf prospectus. B. Abridged prospectus. C. Deemed prospectus. And D. None. Next, dash prospectus is the prospectus which lacks the complete particular about the quantum of the price of the securities. A. Shelf prospectus. B. Abridged prospectus. C. Deemed prospectus. D. None. Bachcho, you all have to attend these MCQs. In next class, I am going to tell you the answers. Please either take a screenshot or take a photo, and everyone have to attempt these MCQs because this will help you in getting the clarity on the topic and your whole topic will get revised. So please try to attempt the MCQs, either take a screenshot or take a photo. You can take a screenshot or either you can take a photo. I'm not disclosing the answers today. Answers will be disclosed in the last class. You all attempt these MCQs at your own, and in last class you can check the answers whether your answers are correct or not. Everyone must try to attend these MCQs, and in the last class, in the next class, I am going to tell you the answers. I hope every one of you have taken a photo or a screenshot. So thank you everyone for joining. Please take care, stay safe, stay healthy. Bye bye.